If you follow me, you probably saw my video about Auschwitz, but today I want to talk about something completely different. I want to talk about slavery. I'm talking about American slavery of black people. For 400 fucking years, by the way. It was 400 years. And you're probably thinking, I already know all about this. We talk about this in school. I don't need to learn anymore. Well, let me tell you, we actually don't talk about this in school. We don't talk about the truth of it. So let me tell you some things that I learned while researching this. And it's not that hard to research. You just have to look it up. So fact check me if you want, but here we go. First one I wrote down, you probably heard the term motherfucker. Okay, and I'm not going to do any of that corny, like, graped stuff. I'm going to use the real words because those people deserve it. They deserve to not be graped or whatever the fuck. So, slave owners sometimes would force, this was a common occurrence, would force black men to rape their own mothers, to publicly humiliate them and break their spirit. That's where the term motherfucker comes from. The term motherfucker comes from slavery and rape. I'm never going to use that term again. Once I found that out, I was so sick. Next up, the Atlantic slave trade, which we've all heard about, right? If you have like a public education, hopefully you've heard about this. It was so much worse than we could ever possibly imagine. And like, I mean that. Certain ships were actually invented to make it faster so that the slave traders could get more of a profit because people were dying too quickly on the ships. They had special made masts that were much higher. They were the fastest and biggest ships so that they could make a higher profit because people kept killing themselves and dying. And now let me add on to that, people committing suicide because the conditions were so horrible on the ship. They hadn't even made it to slavery yet. They hadn't made it to the plantations. And they were still killing themselves because they knew how bad it was going to be. Sharks literally changed their migration patterns because bodies were just thrown overboard once they died. However, the Atlantic slave trade officially ended in 1808, right? That was the law that was put in by the early United States government. But do you think that stopped it? No. Let me talk about the reverse Underground Railroad. A lot of Southerners went up north and they had these like gangs that would go and capture, they would kidnap black people. Even if they had never been a slave in their life, if they were escaped, no matter who they were, if you were black, they were going to try to kidnap you. They sold children, especially children, because they were easier to kidnap. It was just a big human trafficking thing. And it boggles my mind that we aren't, like, we don't really talk about this stuff in school, at least not at my school in Utah. And also, to counteract the end of the slave trade in 1808, you know what they did? They made breeding farms. And you can guess what that is. It was a rape farm. Girls as young as 13, I wouldn't be that shocked if it was younger, but at least girls and women as young as 13 were sent to special plantations that were exclusively made for breeding, making new people to enslave. And I also didn't know about this, and I don't know, I'm just fuming right now because, like, I knew it was bad, but, like, doing, like, a little bit of your own research makes you realize how horrible it was. Like so much worse than I ever imagined. Another one, you may have heard about this, but if you haven't, let me tell you, the white people, the slave owners, would use African American hair for cushions, for couches, for insulation. They pulled people's teeth that had pretty nice teeth, whatever. They would pull them and turn them into fucking dentures and sell them to rich white people. And you know who had those fucking dentures? George Washington. He had teeth pulled from his slaves to make his own fucking dentures. No, his teeth were not wooden. That's a fucking myth. His teeth were made from slaves' teeth. I mean, they turned their skin into leather. Another thing, they used these people as much as they could. It's horrifying. Obviously, they exploited them for labor. That's the one we all know. But they also used women in particular for fucking medical experimentation. Do you want to know the reason we know so much about women's gynecology? Is because of the fucking human experimentation that happened to black women in the 1800s and before. Also, the sheer amount of rape that women had to endure from their fucking masters or whatever, don't get me fucking started. But the amount of rape that happened within, not just on plantations, but like during the slave trade, during auctions, It's just so disgusting. I saw a study that said that 16% of all African Americans can trace their ancestry back to Europe. That is because of rape. 16% of all African Americans today. And this video is 5 minutes long. I've been talking for a minute. I haven't even scratched the surface on the cannibalism. It makes me so angry. And guess what? It didn't fucking end with the Emancipation Proclamation. That was a great start. But it didn't fucking end. You really think those people that owned other people were just like, oh, well, it's illegal now. I guess I have to let you all go. No, that didn't fucking happen. They kept their slaves. They weren't all just suddenly freed because the president told them they had to. Really, guys? And even the slaves that were freed, guess what? They underwent so much horrific stuff for the rest of their lives. The rest of their lives. People don't realize how common and how brutal and how horrific and depraved lynchings were. Like, it's so insane to me. Like, when people are like, why shouldn't I feel bad about this? I didn't own a slave. Well, look at your fucking family history, guys. I looked at my family history. Because I'm really into family history. I had, like, my 5th great grandpa or something was from Kentucky. And his fucking will says, to my son, I leave an African-American girl. Well, I think he said Negro. I don't want to say that word, though. Named Luda. And it just made me feel so disgusted at my own heritage. Like, the fact that people don't feel shame at all. People are like, oh, well, whatever. Like, it's in the past. That bothers me so fucking bad. And guess what? It isn't that far in the fucking past. It's not that far in the fucking past. Fucking, the first black girl to go to an all-white school, she's younger than Trump. She has fucking Instagram and TikTok. I don't know. I'm sorry I'm so heated. I probably just sound so stupid. But I'm just so disgusted right now. Just, like, thinking about it. And, like, I've written some stuff down. Just, like, it just makes me so angry. It didn't end in 1863. It didn't end in 1865. You, like, please, I want you to do your own research. I want you to find out as much as you can about this to understand how horrible it was. Because we truly have no idea. Anyways, rant over. I hope I didn't word anything poorly. Because I'm not thinking right now. I'm just kind of disgusted right now. So I hope that this wasn't too, like, sensitive. But yeah, that's it, guys.